Welcome back in, everybody. It is episode 22 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Myself, Matt, and Kyle, we are both sweating our butts off here out in the East in Pennsylvania. It is hot. It is muggy. We just had the 4th of July. Got to ask, how'd that go for you, Kyle?
Oh, it was great, man. Normal 4th of July festivities. How about you?
Yep. The same, some hot dogs. I enjoyed some hot dogs, some fireworks. What else can you ask for? Floated down a creek, river, whatever you want to say. So literally the perfect trifecta there. A little grilling, like hot dogs, and then you had the fireworks and then some water. So I mean, that's pretty much 90% of America's 4th of July, I would guess. So I think I did all right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But we're not here to talk about our personal lives. We're here to talk about baseball. And there's been a couple things going on. One major topic we're going to talk about, Mike Trout. He's going to be out 4 to 8 weeks with a hand injury. We're going to dive into how that affects the Angels. But a couple more things just to let you know what's on the plate. Home Run Derby bracket is out. It is set. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And there's some betting odds too. I'm not saying that we're gambling, but it's just interesting to see who the odds makers set as the favorite, because sometimes it can be a little interesting and we might not always agree with it. And then back to the Angels. We'll probably just mix this all together. They got swept by the Padres. Are the Padres turning it around? Is it the Angels? Are they turning it around in the opposite direction? Tying that all in with Trout. And then, of course, we got questions from you guys that we will answer this episode. Sincerest apologies from me and Mello. We missed it the one time. We were running late and we missed it. But we will get to that today. So, leading it off, I've talked for a solid minute now. So, Kyle, Mike Trout injury. What are your initial reactions?
Yeah, so initial reactions, it sucks for the game of baseball, obviously. We never want to see the big stars out for a significant amount of time. Especially Mike Trout. I mean, this guy is, I mean, he's a class act. I mean, everybody loves to watch him play. He's been the best player in baseball for the last however many years it's been now. Um, so yeah, initial reaction, it sucks, but I think there's a deeper part to this. I mean, obviously, we can go into the whole how the Angels will attack the trade deadline and Shohei. I mean, I that was kind of my first thought when I saw Trout went down was the fact that what does this mean for the Angels front office regarding Shohei Ohtani?
Exactly.
So yeah, that was my first thought. I'm kind of interested to hear yours.
It was sort of the same thing. Like, well, first of all, like, what an unfortunate injury. Like, getting hit in the hands while you're batting has to be like one of the worst injuries. Like, there's nothing really you could do about it. And then it sets you out for 4 to 8 weeks, because with those hand bones, they're so tiny and, it's hard for them to get in there. Maybe not hard for them to do the surgery, but like it can take a little bit longer to get back to strength, and for them to re-heal properly. So that was my first thing. Second of all, yeah, how is this going to affect the Angels and Shohei Ohtani and the trade deadline, all of that stuff? Um, I'm not entirely sure. They just got swept by the Padres, like I mentioned in the intro. But does that mean that they're gonna, if they keep going down this downward spiral a little bit, are they gonna be looking to trade Shohei Ohtani and say, listen, he's only here, or he's only going to be on your team necessarily for 2 months guaranteed. Then he could sign wherever. But we're going to get a king's ransom for him. And let's build around Mike Trout and the other young, nice pieces that we have. And it sucks losing a generational, well, not generational, even like an all-time player in Shohei Ohtani. It's time to stop using generational. He's more than generational. You know, it sucks to lose him, but what can you get back in return that might be able to justify it a little bit? I'm not a big fan of prospects, so usually I'm the guy who's trying to keep the star. But if you feel like your season's going to waste anyway because Mike Trout's out for the rest of the year, and let's say you lose like 10 or 12 games going up to the deadline, you go on a little spin, and then, the Mariners catch fire and they're climbing up, they're passing you in the standings. I don't know. The AL East is loaded. They could take all the wild card spots for all we know. Well, probably not. The Rangers or Astros seem like a lock to get in the playoffs, both of them at this point. But then if the other two wild card spots come from the AL East, and the AL East is loaded right now, the Orioles and Yankees currently, I think, would have those spots. So then are you going to be able to be better than the Orioles or the Yankees? Yankees are getting their guy back eventually. They're building off of what they're doing right now. They're getting both their guys back. Rodon tomorrow, I believe. Probably happiest day
Very
of Kyle's,
excited.
Kyle's life in the past couple of years. Well, other than re-signing
Definitely-
Judge.
It's definitely up there for sure. But yeah.
Yeah. So, like, what are you gonna? Do you feel like you have enough of a squad to build around Shohei Ohtani and bring pieces into the trade deadline to make up for Mike Trout being out for maybe 2 months, maybe 2.5 months? It's hard to say. I mean, on the positive side, it could be a month. It could only be a month, but that's still a month without one of the best players of our lifetime. So it's tough to say. I mean, I don't know. And I'm not going to ask you what you think they should do because you could go either way.
Yeah.
But if you're the GM, what's going through your mind right now?
Oh man. Everything. I'm if I'm the Angels GM here, I'm sitting down with Otani ASAP. I'm gonna sit down with him. I'm gonna see where his head's at because heading into this trade deadline could make or break your entire future. And we've been saying this for the Angels for years. I mean, they can't win with Mike Trout, and obviously now they can't win with Shohei and Trout. So what is going to get them over this hump? Because I don't understand what else are you putting on this team besides the two literally the top two players in baseball on the same team in that lineup day in and day out. Not to mention, not only the lineup too, you got that guy going out there every 5 days as well. So what else are you going to do? So I would sit down with Otani, figure out where his head's at, even if he wants to stay here. Let's say they sit down and he's like, look, I'm sorry, thank you for the last 5, 6 years, but I'm out. Then I'm on the phone answering anything that's coming my way and taking the best offer I can get. But on the other token, it's like if he is like, let's try to build something here. Let's get a winning culture in. Let's make the playoffs and let's get this ball rolling. And we can build off of that for years to come. Then I'm not entertaining anything. I'm locking Shohei up and going on. But like I said, you can go either way here, and it's very, very tough. And I'm very interested to see where the Angels are going to go with this, just because of the circumstances. I mean, you go up to the deadline, you still don't have Trout, and like you said, they're losing games. I mean, you have to at least entertain these phone calls that are coming in, because I can
Yeah.
guarantee you. I mean, personally, I think he's going to the other side of LA next year. You're welcome, Mello. But hey, if they want him a little bit earlier, get him acclimated to the other side of Los Angeles, and then sign him long term. Dodgers have a very loaded farm system. Their pitching prospects always seem to turn out. So it's like, I mean, I don't even want to begin to think what that package is going to look like. But if the Dodgers are on the phone, I'm answering that. So that's
Yeah.
I think they have to at least entertain these phone calls coming in. But I personally think they just need to sit down with Otani and see where his head's at.
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna bring up an interesting situation here. It happened to the Yankees when Aroldis Chapman was at maybe his best. They traded him to the Cubs. He finished out the season there, and then he signed right back with the Yankees. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna flip the script on you now, and you're gonna be the GM, and I'm gonna be Shohei, and I say, hey, go ahead. You can trade me at the trade deadline, but I have real interest in signing back here with the Angels. I want you guys to trade me away for 2 months, get the best package you can so that all those prospects are there, and then you get me back at in free agency as well. What are you thinking about that then?
Oh, I think that's the best case scenario. I mean, the the way it worked out for the Yankees, Chapman went to the Cubs, won them the World Series, well, with them. And then in return, the Yankees are still using that prospect that they got back, Gleyber Torres. He's our everyday second baseman.
Yep.
So yeah, like I said, that's the best case scenario, and I think that would be hilarious if it happened. Unload the whole entire Dodgers farm system just to bring it back in, I don't know, 6 months. So, I mean, I feel like that'd be the biggest FU to the other side of Los Angeles. And, I mean, I'm just glad it wouldn't happen to me. But
Yeah, that would suck. But
but
I mean, if you're the GM, you have to have so much confidence that he's actually going to resign, that he's not going to be like, well, hey, Dodgers offered me another 20 million. I'm actually signing with them now. But
at the same
Shohei has
token,
all the leverage.
exactly. And at the same token, if that did happen, I mean, you got that haul back. So you can just build off of that. But the Angels are also in a very tricky situation because they have Rendon to that massive deal. They got Trout for that massive deal. So it's like you can't necessarily fully rebuild the entire team because you got these guys locked up for years to go.
Yep.
And then so yeah, I mean you might have another one locked up with Ohtani depending on how this goes. So what exactly is going to get them over this hump? I mean, I was ecstatic when I saw that they traded for Escobar. I understand that Escobar is not, a top tier third or second baseman in the league, but it's like they're trying. And that's all I ask of the Angels with these two generational talents. So I mean, just try. I really don't know what to say about this anymore because it's a very, very tricky situation. And you can branch off of any topic if you want to bring up. Do they trade him? Do they resign him? What's going on? There's so much things that branch off of this that it's so tricky to even begin to think what's really going to happen. But I'm interested to see it unfold, and I'm just glad the Yankees aren't in this situation because they very easily could have been with Aaron Judge. So I'm glad that's over in my rear view, and now I get to sit on the sideline and watch another one unfold.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's such a tough position to be in as the GM, as the owner, as Shohei. I mean, sure, he has all the leverage, but like, do you want to leave behind Mike Trout, the best player ever? And then, sure, you're signing with the team or you're getting traded to a team that, I mean, he's not going to sign with like, choose any bottom feeder. He's not going to sign with the Nationals, okay? He's not going to sign with the A's. So he's not like he's going to put himself in a bad situation in free agency. But if he gets traded to a team who's giving up all their prospects and then they don't have any future, well, he doesn't want to sign with that team that doesn't have a future either. He wants to compete, that's for sure. And whether the Angels are giving him the best chance to compete or the Dodgers, let's say, I mean, that seems like the only two teams at this point. The Mets were mentioned, but I'm not sure that they're doing it. Not the Marlins, the Mariners is a team that comes to mind, but like it sort of just seems like Dodgers and Angels at this point.
No, I there's no doubt in my mind that he stays in Los Angeles. I wish I could say my Yankees were involved, but they have new ownership now, so it's a little bit
That's
different
the
than what it
old
was.
Yankees.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than what it was 20 years ago with the Yankees. So I can't, I'm not even going to entertain it. But I think at the end of the day, he stays in Los Angeles one way or the other. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how this shapes out. It
Yeah.
really is.
I want to ask you this. So let's say the Angels they go on a like 15 game losing streak and it becomes basically public knowledge that they want to trade Shohei. Are you in on the Yankees selling the farm, so to say, to try to get Shohei in New York for let's say 2 months, 3 months, whatever it would end up being, and then getting a perhaps better shot at signing him?
Oh my gosh, man, it's so tough. It is so tough to say this because the Yankees are already thin at the major league level.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a few prospects that I'm very excited for. Austin Wells to name one of them, Oswald Praz. I don't know what the hell he's doing in AAA anymore. I don't understand that. But you guys, I mean, you got Will Warren coming up. You got Everson Pereira. You got all these guys who are coming up who can make an impact, and you're shipping all of them away. We're unloading the farm completely. So if
Yeah.
we do that and we don't sign Ohtani, the Yankees are going to be worse off than what they were. And honestly, even if you add Ohtani onto the Yankees roster, even with a healthy Aaron Judge, with a healthy Garrett Cole, healthy Carlos Rodon, Anthony Rizzo, all of them, I still don't believe that they can make, I hate to be like this. I really do. But I can't sit here and confidently say that they're going to win the World Series or even make it to the World Series. I can't confidently say that. So, and not to mention, even if they were to re-sign Ohtani, if they traded for him, I mean, it doesn't change anything. I still think this roster is built completely all out of whack. And
Yeah.
I'm not, that's a topic for another time. I'm not going to get into that. But, you know, I'm stuck on it. But if I had to lean one way or the other, I don't want the Yankees entertaining Ohtani. I would rather them go after a guy like Juan Soto or one of the Padres
Mm,
stars because of what's going on in San Diego right now. That's where my mind is at. Juan Soto would be my perfect deadline acquisition for me as a Yankee fan. I want them to stay away from Ohtani just because I don't think it's worthwhile for them to go after him.
okay. I mean, I like that perspective. I want to ask one question. You almost gave the perfect transition into the Padres. Well, you did, and us talking them sweeping the Angels. But I have to interrupt that. You mentioned all the prospects. This is merely completely out of curiosity. Jason Dominguez, is he still a super prospect?
He is, and I forgot to mention him for some reason, but
Okay.
yes, he is. He's
Okay.
now our new top prospect. But yes,
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. And it does seem like an interesting situation with Volpe, the golden boy, keeping Peraza
oh
down
boy.
and shortstop, but we don't have to talk about that if you don't want to.
Hey, I mean, we have Josh Donaldson playing, getting every day at bats. Love to see that while we're burying a prospect who proved he can play at the major league level. I love seeing that. That's exactly what I want.
Hey, he just homered last night or 2 nights ago, something
I
like that.
whatever. Every single game that he homers in, we lose. So it doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
but that's how it goes.
Is it a realistic possibility that Donaldson could get traded at the deadline?
If I mean, there is, but the Yankees are either going to have to eat the salary or they're going to have to add on a higher prospect for somebody to take on that salary.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like the best option for the Yankees is just to ride out the rest of the season and then cut the ties with them in the off season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I ruined your perfect transition, but we're going to talk about the Padres now because on the flip side, we were just talking about the Angels. Well, the Padres just swept the Angels. So the question still remains around the Padres, though, is are they going to be, where are they going to be at the trade deadline? Where are they at right now in terms of like the organization as a whole? What's their feeling, about the core that they have? You mentioned Juan Soto possibly being available for trade. Um, it sort of seems like he hasn't fit in there well. He's been doing good this season, but like, what could they get in return for him? Because they might not be able to. They might legitimately not have the money to sign him in the offseason, seeing as all the money they just spent before Blake Snell's a free agent. I don't know if there's interest there in re-signing him. I mean, there should be after the season he's having. But right now, just for a little context, Padres are sitting at 41 and 46th, fourth place in the NL West, still behind the Giants, Dodgers, and Diamondbacks, obviously. They still have a worse record than the Brewers and Reds, obviously. They're very close with the Cubs, just about the same. And then they're still behind the Phillies, Marlins, and the Braves. So there is a lot of work to be done if they want to stay competitors. Um, you mentioned Juan Soto already. I know that's partially Yankees optimism, but like
Yeah.
your general feeling about what the Padres can be going forward or what they're going to do going forward.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, this is a team that I would love to be a fly on the wall inside that front office and even the locker room just to see what that vibe is really, really like. Because, I mean, obviously, you get the Twitter rumors. We obviously there could be some turmoil between the four big stars in there. I don't know, but it just on paper this team is amazing, but on the field it just seems like they don't work at all together. I don't understand it at all personally, but I mean, like you said, there's a lot of ground to make up here. I don't know if it's too late. I'm not gonna put the dagger in them yet, but I don't know, man. I really don't because I didn't expect them to be here. But if they keep this up, I feel like they need to entertain some sort of calls on these guys because obviously something is not clicking to that full extent that it should be.
Yeah, and it's kind of kind of confusing. Like, okay, you got these three superstars, and Xander's not doing fantastic. He's not doing awful. Machado's getting it going a little bit more. He had a pretty slow start. Tatis has been solid the whole season. Me and Mello mentioned him as an all-star snub last week. Um, I don't know. Like Blake Snell's leading the way for you. Michael Waka is like your second best pitcher. He's
Yeah.
contributing. Um, it's just like you said, things aren't clicking for some reason, and they do have good teams in their division. Like the
Yeah.
Dodgers and Diamondbacks are legit teams. The Giants are ahead of them. There's a reason that they're that this good so far. Like they have some great names, especially on the pitching end, who've been doing great this season. But with the Padres, it's like, okay, if you're sitting right now, like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever the trade deadline is, that might be too soon. I don't know. Whenever the trade deadline is, if you're sitting where you are right now, or like 2 or 3 games under 500, but you're still sitting in fourth place in the division, and you're still behind all those teams that I mentioned already. Well, what are you thinking as an organization? I guess you're probably trying to gauge the room with Juan Soto. It's, hey, we would like to re-sign you, but we're not sure that we're going to give you how much you're thinking, and we don't know if we can pay you that much. Um, so I don't know if that conversation has happened, if there's interest in trying to see what you can get for him, because other than Ohtani, he might be like legitimately the second most valuable player in the league, like looking towards the future. Like last year,
Yeah.
people were saying he's going to be a $500 million player when the Padres traded for him. And like Otani's mentioned as 500, maybe 600 million. So Soto's right there. Like it's still going to take an insane package to get Soto too. So is that the route they
Yeah.
want to go and say, hey, if we can get back like four of the let's just say the Yankees top prospects, and we're able to build around Machado and Tatis, and you brought in Xander, he's there for the long haul now. That's a
Yeah.
great core three. And then you add in some top prospects too, mix that in. Hopefully you can bring back Blake Snell. Maybe you go after another nice starting pitcher in the offseason. That seems like a winning formula. And right now, like we said, things just don't seem to click. Maybe you need a change of scenery. Maybe you need to switch things up. Like you tried it with these four, and to us, it seems like there's no reason that they can't be winning right now with four of the best players on the planet. So maybe you need to switch things up a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's this is another team that's going to be very interesting to see how they attack the deadline, just because of where they're at, and even if they start winning, I'm sure the Diamondbacks and Dodgers aren't just going to fall off a cliff. I'm sure the Giants are
No.
still gonna be hanging around. The Marlins, for some reason, just keep going. I don't get that. The Phillies are finally on the heater. They're starting to heat up even more than what they've been. I'm a huge Phillies fan tonight. I hope they finish off the sweep against the Rays. I need that completely. But like I said, all these teams that are in the NL, you're going to be competing for one of those wild card spots. Because I personally think the division is completely out of hand now. I don't see a world where the Padres win the NL West. So
Yeah.
if that's the case, you're going for one of these wild card spots. And the way things are going, I don't see it. But I do think there is some positive in this surrounding the Padres, and it's like you said, Juan Soto. You're either going to keep him, and that's not a bad thing. You're keeping one of the one of the game's best youngest stars, but if you trade him, you're going to get a huge haul,
Yeah.
and you already still have. I mean, you still have those core guys of Bogarts, Tatis, and Machado. So I feel like it could be a win-win here for them. It's just a matter of what exactly do they want to do? Do they feel like they can win or with this core, or do they want to, kind of shake things up a little bit? But either way, I don't think the Padres are in a bad situation for the future.
No, definitely not for the future. Right now, it seems a little grim because they're not winning. and with
Yeah.
all these great players, like we mentioned. But like you said, pretty good situation to be in where you got those three guys locked up, and then you have this guy on your hand who you can trade for five super prospects if you wanted to, probably. Or
Yeah.
if you feel it's the right move, you can bring him back as probably one of the top young hitters in the league. He's only like 24. So he's debatably not even in his prime yet. Like guys are like peaking at like 28, 29, 30. So this guy's going to be insane for seasons to come. And whether you think it's the right move to keep him or to trade him for a bunch of great young players too, I mean, like you said, win-win either way. But now we are going to move on. We're going to talk about the home run derby real quick. So the home run derby bracket came out not that long ago, and here's what it looks like for you. So you got Luis Robert Jr. facing off against Adley Rutschman. Then you got Adolis Garcia versus Randy Arozarena. Pete Alonso versus the hometown J-Rod. And then Mookie Betts versus Vlad Jr. Interesting. Do you have a favorite matchup, first round matchup?
I do, and it might not be one that people automatically go to. I'm going Garcia and Arozarena. I think both of them are kind of at the same level. I mean, I'm still putting Arozarena a little bit above Garcia, but both of them have such raw power, and I'm excited to see both of them. They're both very exciting to watch, especially what Garcia is doing right now with Texas. He took that big leap forward. He was the only guy there a few years back. Then they started going off on free agency. So just seeing the progression of Garcia and Arozarena both, that's definitely got to be my pick for round one.
Okay. Um, I gotta go with Luis Robert Jr. and then Adley Rutschman. Like people are already counting out Adley, and we'll get into that in the odds. In case you didn't know, he's got the lowest odds to win. And then Luis Robert is one of the top favorites, I believe. So with both of them being their first time in the Derby, Robert, he has such extreme power too. He's like top 10 in home runs, top five. And then Adley, I think it's just going to be fun to see him in his first Derby. I will ask you this: Mello and I didn't know. Does he have a power side or a side that he prefers to hit from? With him being in the AL East, I thought maybe you might know.
Um, I mean, he hits from wherever. This kid's great. I mean, from what I've seen, obviously he's in New York right now against my Yankees. Man, I mean, I would have to say the left side. I feel from what I've seen of him playing against the Yankees, he hits our pitchers better from the left side. I don't know if he's always like that. I'm not, big into Baltimore, obviously, but when he comes to town or we're in Baltimore, I see him hitting our pitching from the left side a little bit better. But no, this kid's good everywhere, no matter what.
Okay. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see that matchup. Now let's get into the odds quick. In case you didn't know how betting odds work, the lower the better in this case. So starting off with Pete Alonso plus 300 to win it all. He's the favorite. He's not your reigning champion, but he's the two-time champ before that. Mello and I said how we feel about him competing again this year. A lot of people didn't like that, but whatever. It was our take, so I'm stand behind it. Second highest odds, interesting here. Vladdy Jr. at plus 350. I didn't think it would be like that, but and then Luis Robert Jr., like I mentioned, high up there, plus 500. J Rod plus 550. Your guy Adolis at plus 650. Randy at plus 1,000. Mookie Betts also at plus 1,000. And then Adley Rutschman at plus 1,900 with the longest odds to win. What do you have any of those that sort of surprise you the most? Like not necessarily where they're placed because somebody has to be last, but like maybe how long of odds they have.
How long of odds? I mean, I gotta go with Rutschman. I mean, I don't understand that one bit. If I want to go a little bit more practical, I think Luis Robert is too low, even though he's at third. I'm putting him at second just because of the raw power. I mean, he's in my league, so I get to watch him a little bit more. And just the fact of, I mean, it is Pete Alonso. He's won it twice. So I understand why he's first. I do. But in my mind, there's no question he should be second in odds.
I will say interesting, only two NL players representing compared to 6 AL. Not sure about that one as an NL guy, but whatever. It panned out the way it did. I will say I think Vladdy Jr. is a little high. Julio went off in the home run derby last year. Obviously, he didn't win. We all know that. But like, put him behind the home crowd in Seattle. I think at plus 550, the fourth best odds. That's an interesting placement. I would almost put him higher. But you
Yeah.
know, it always seems like the sports books know something that we don't. Kyle and I, or not Kyle and I, Mello and I mentioned the Guardians last week as we were all thinking we were smart taking the over on them. Pretty much all of us, I think, and it turned out maybe not to be the greatest pick. But yeah, we're both looking forward to the home run derby for sure. And now we're gonna move on and, as we had promised, answering you guys' questions. You dropped them on Instagram. We're getting to them now. We got 8 that we're gonna go to. Some of them we already talked about a little bit, but so I mean we answered your question earlier. But first question here: do you think that the Padres will still make it to the postseason? We're not going to deep dive into them. We already did a little bit. A yes or
Yeah,
no
well,
at this point.
starting off hot here, definitely. This is a tough one, but if I had to put money on it, I'm gonna have to say no.
I would love to be the optimistic Philly fan here, and I'm going to be. So, for that reason, I'm going to have to say no. Okay. The Marlins are still sitting above the Phillies. The Brewers are still sitting above the Padres. And obviously, in their own division, they still got to beat out 2 teams. So, at this point, no. And maybe trading Juan Soto turns it around, like we said, but who knows? Next question here. Where do the Orioles go this season at the trade deadline? And then I'm guessing this question means how far will they make it in the playoffs? Your division, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to say absolutely nothing. No, I'm kidding. That's what I want them to do. But I think veteran pitching. Like we said before, I think I talked to Mello about this. A guy like, if Max Scherzer is available as a baseball fan, I'd love to see him on the O's. I mean, I feel like this team is very, very young. They don't have the experience. Not saying that it matters, but it does in a way. So if they do make it to the postseason, I feel like, a little bit more veteran presence. Nelson Cruz just got DFA'd. I don't know, maybe you take a flyer on him. You never know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I hope they make some noise just as a baseball fan. And it'll help them into October.
Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going veteran starting pitching, 100%. I don't know who's going to be available necessarily. You look at some of the teams that are bad and have some starting pitching. It's possible. I don't know if the Cubs are willing to deal Marcus Stroman. That still not sure about that. Mystery surrounding that situation. But hey, if he's available, Orioles got lots of prospects that they can trade. Maybe the Padres want to deal Blake Snell because his contract's expiring. They don't want to sign him. They want to keep Soto. Bring in Blake Snell. AL East reunion. I don't know. It doesn't even have to be a star because their guys have been doing all right. But somebody, like you said, a nice veteran presence. And I'm not opposed at all to them signing Nelson Cruz, a little reunion there. I think the Orioles would love that. Okay, next question here. What should the Cardinals do at the trade deadline? And then also the same with the Mets. Without diving way too deep into it, because we could spend 20 minutes on each team probably. What do you think?
Yeah, for the Cardinals, I'm gonna have to say sell, but like don't sell big. So don't obviously not sending out Goldschmidt anywhere, things like that. But guys like I don't know, Tyler O'Neill, Gorman maybe, guys like that. I feel like this team needs to retool and just look forward to next season. And as far as the Mets go, I mean they're undefeated in July. I guess that's something, right? But yeah, no, I mean I don't know. The Mets are another weird one. I would say kind of just sell off maybe some like, bigger contracts as much as you can, and then kind of just retool for next season, same as the Cardinals.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't see the Cardinals making any massive deals like getting rid of Goldschmidt or obviously not Arenado, but like if there's any, pitchers that you feel either we're not going to bring them back or they could provide a value to a team for a year and a half or so, I would say go ahead, go with that, trade them away. The Mets, I sort of see them adding at the deadline. I don't think they're going to be sellers because I think that they sort of expect a lot out of this team still with what they have. So obviously they traded away Escobar, and that's sort of selling, but I think that they'll add more at the trade deadline. But who knows? I guess we'll see. All right. Next question then. Will the Rangers keep their lead in the AL West until September?
Huh. I'm gonna have to say yes, just because this team is clicking on all cylinders. They're this team's filled with all stars. They're looking really good. Um, I mean, I have to say the safe bet is to say yes, and they're gonna be there.
Okay, interesting. I don't think they're going to keep the lead. The Astros are coming up, sneaking up on them. I mean, it helped that they had a couple games against each other recently, but I think the Astros are going to pass them. Do I think they end up winning the division? Hard to tell. I'm sort of leaning towards Rangers at this point. They're going to win the division, but I don't think they're going to hold the lead the whole way till September. But then again, Astros could end up taking the lead now and not looking back. I don't know. Okay. Here, this one should be a nice little dagger to you. Devers, possible MVP in the next 10 years.
Oh man, I hope not. No, I'm kidding. I, I as a baseball fan, I like Devers. I like the loyalty. He reminds me a lot of J Ram, the loyalty wise. I mean, I hope so. I really do. As a player, I love watching Devers. I mean, I think he will at some point.
Okay. The defensive line, I don't think is there quite as much, which sort of hurts his case.
Yeah.
Offense definitely is. Only thing maybe holding him back, or he's in the American League. You got Shohei Ohtani. You got Aaron Judge. You got Mike Trout. You got Yordan Alvarez. Okay. You got mention him, Jose Ramirez. He's been a sneaky top 5 MVP candidate. I'm not sure there's room for Devers to win an MVP. Like, it's going to take something insane to beat out those guys. So I hate to be a downer, but I'm not sure he's going to get one in the next 10 years. I hate to say it, but I don't know. Okay. Next question. Has Ellie De La Cruz just had a lucky start? Will he fall off in the second half?
No, this kid's legit. I love watching him play. I really do. He's wowing me on every level. And I don't think it's just a little fluke. At least I hope I'm right on all levels of that. This kid brings excitement. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Tatis. The impact he brought to the game. I mean, there's no denying that. So I don't think so. I think this kid's legit, and I think he's going to be a franchise player for the Reds for many, many years.
I couldn't agree anymore because you look at what super prospects are supposed to do when they get called up, and he is filling that role and even doing better, debatably. Okay. So, no, I don't think he's going to fall off. I don't think it's been a fluke. Like you said, he's the real deal. He's legit. Going to be a cornerstone of the Reds franchise for years to come. All right. Opinion on the Angels. We already covered that in depth for 15, 20 minutes. So we're not going to go down that train again. And then who's going to win the home run derby? We didn't give any official picks yet, but I mean, I don't care. We could say one or two that we think right now.
Obviously Luis Roberts up there. But I have to go with Pete Alonso. I do. I I was waiting for your reaction to that. I am the odd man out here of you and Mello. I love seeing Pete Alonso in the home run derby. I really do. And I think he's gonna win it again. I really do. Pete's been on a tear this year. He's been a positive for the Mets, and I love watching him play. A lot of people don't like Pete Alonso, but I'm on the opposite side of that. I really like Pete Alonso. I do. So I got to go with my guy, Pete.
Okay. I'm going to go with the hometown boy. Give me J-Rod. I mean, he, like we said earlier, he did insane last year at the home run derby, took it by storm. That was kind of his breakout moment in the big leagues. So give me J Rod. And he's, like I said, hometown. He's got the whole city behind him there, basically. I
Yep.
think it's going to be great for him this season, but you never know. I mean, he could totally lay an egg like Kyle Schwarber last year. Just kidding. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't think it will. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode, I think. Thank you guys listening, watching, all that jazz, and for following on Instagram too. We appreciate that. Check us out on Threads now, I guess. We're on there. Hopefully we're gonna be posted on there some too. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for episode 22 in the books. We'll see you later.